Hello, welcome to the Daily Grind here on Latte from Sunday, the 28th of December. And as we edge closer to the end of 2025, the Barclays is up and running. And there's a lot of talk about Arsenal, how we might be the most uninspiring champions elect. It's all going horribly wrong for some of the Arsenal fans. We're not clicking, we're not firing on all cylinders. What's going on? So we've got lots to talk about tonight. We're going to wrap up on Brighton. We're going to talk about some individual performances, talk about some individual moments, and take a closer look at some of our rivals. And I'm delighted to be joined by good friend Adam Keys, who is host of the Arsenal Therapy. Adam, welcome to the show. Merry Christmas, my man.
You too. Merry Christmas, and thanks for having me on. It's been a while. We've tried to arrange this a few times, and unfortunately, I've been busy every time you've texted me, but it worked out tonight. And because someone on my show this morning said, you and FK need to get your schedules aligned, and this was someone that I had never told that we were doing a show together. So the public asked for it, and we delivered.
And here we are. You see, you got to trust the process, ladies and gents. It's great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining me at such short notice. And listen, a warm welcome back to so many of our viewers. We did the match reaction video yesterday. I've been away for a couple of weeks on a holiday. Jet lag has managed to get sort of under control, though I have a throbbing headache. But we're going to get through tonight because there is a lot to talk about. And before we indulge in some of the content and some of the slides, very, very quickly, some nice, very, very nice greetings. FK again. LA. Thank you very much for that, AFC 777. We have a new channel member for Waz. Welcome. Thank you for supporting the channel. Very grateful for your kind donation and your contribution and support to the channel. Warm welcome to our Patreon members as well. There is one single ticket to the Aston Villa in the match ticket chat if any of you guys are watching and you want to snap that up. Jonathan says, good evening, FK. The games are coming thick and fast. Come on, you Gunners. Happy holidays to everyone. DJ D10 is here in the house, as is Raphael, saying cheers, FK. Glad to have you back, mate. I think we've got the minerals to make it happen this year. Watch this space. Well, I'm glad that you are in a positive mood, Raphael, because there's a number of Arsenal fans that aren't so positive. Let's start, Adam, by talking about yesterday. What is all the fuss about? We're top of the Premier League, top of the Champions League, into the semi-finals of the League Cup. What's your general mood around Arsenal Football Club at the moment, Ad?
I mean, I'm pretty positive. So I think we're in the same boat. We're winning games. We're top of the league, top of the Champions League, Carabao Cup semi-final. We could score more goals. That's the reality of it. And these numbers tell a tale. 24 shots. We also had 57 touches in the Brighton box, which is our most in a single game this season. The XG number, I'm guessing this might be from Opta, is it?
Yeah.
So yeah, SofaScore has it down as 3.08. So some of the XG markers are pretty different for this as well. I've looked at a few places and saw variation, but it shows a game where we absolutely dominated the game in and around the box. We give up possession. They didn't have Baliba. They didn't have Danny Welbeck. So I think we allowed it to be a bit more transitional than usual, but we didn't take our chances. But when people say we're not clicking, this was a performance where everything clicked up until the final action, and we should have scored goals. And I think that gives us reason to be optimistic. We could get pessimistic about it. There is the fear if it doesn't start leading to goals, but also there's the very exciting possibility that this could be a 23-24 turning point where we suddenly exploded.
Oh, well, I hope you're right. I mean, just in terms of yesterday's performance, shots on goal in the Premier League this season, we ranked first, 24 shots on goal. That's first in all of our games in the first 18 games of this season. Shots inside the box, 21, also ranking first yesterday. Touches inside the box, as you've just articulated, 57, ranking first in all of our Premier League games. And the XG, according to Arsenal.com, is 3.08. Opta, of course, our partners saying 2.8. Maybe they're a little bit on the conservative side. But look, all the stats will suggest that it was comfortable work in the end. However, the general sort of trend, the general feeling, Ad, is that we just seem to make such hard work of everything. And I've got to start by, it's another week, another win. And Arsenal are going strong. 3 wins, I think, in a week over the festive period. But people aren't happy. And I guess what I want to say is every time I watch Arsenal, and it's great to be back in the stadium yesterday, it feels like it takes a lot of effort physically, mentally, emotionally to kind of get over the line. Now, yesterday we were 2-0 up. And of course, opposition teams are going to have shots on goal. They are going to sometimes take a ricochet or a bounce or a deflection or hit the post and come off and they will score. but there is a real sense of nervousness, anxiety, a little bit of maybe stress, fear, worry. Don't know what the word is. I'm running out of adjectives here, but like the mood isn't as positive as it should be for a team that is top of the Premier League, top of the Champions League, and into the semi-finals of the League Cup. Ad.
Yeah, well, you go to every game, so you really get the sense of the emotion inside the ground as well. I don't go to as many as you, but one of the things that I always think that this nervousness comes from a fear of what if it doesn't happen. And we've been there now twice in the last 3 years where we've come so close and we haven't quite got over the line. Last year, let's be honest, we were never fully in the title race. But there is also the elephant in the room of it's been 22 years since we last won a title. So it's not like we've got the recent memory of actually these are the games you just need to get through. And if you look back to the Invincible season, we had 12 draws. We got through a lot of those games by single goal margins. We had some big wins in that season, beating Leeds 5-1, 5-0, games like that. But we did also have a lot of games where they were narrow margins. Sometimes you have to do that in a title winning season, but I completely agree with the energy levels, the amount of work it seems to take us to get over the line. But then there's other games where you see us and we seem to cruise through 2 goals, 3 goals, and then we sit off and we're able to see it out. I think a lot of the issue at the minute has been there's been a huge amount of rotation, partly forced and partly demanded the schedule, that players are getting used to each other. However, on this occasion, everything just flowed, it clicked, it worked. And you've got a goalkeeper that makes some big saves. The Zubamendi flick, that's a great save. He's down so low and so fast. On another day, that trickles into the back of the net. I think we almost lack a bit of luck at the minute, but at the same time, we're getting over the line. And that's really all that matters. But some of these soft goals do worry me a bit.
Yeah, mate. I agree with you wholeheartedly on all of those points, and it is just about the 3 points, like you say, and like Henko says earlier, it's about the 3 points. Henko, welcome to the show. You're getting a lot of love, by the way. Great to see Adam back on Latte Fam. Thank you for that. Tony has asked about Gyökeres. We'll come on to that in just a second, Tony, if you don't mind. I've got a great slide on Gyökeres. I want to talk about the frustrations that some Arsenal fans with him, and I want to get your thoughts on that as well, Ad. Mike says there really is nothing wrong with our play other than the finishing. We'd all love to have some calm endings, but in order to have them, we need to score more goals. So let's move on to the first talking point as to why things aren't really quite going our way. Is chances and goals. The chart on the left-hand side is something that friends of mine shared with me on WhatsApp earlier today. This basically shows Premier League teams by rank, big chance differentials from this season and last season, with performances against the current bottom three not included because they are frankly sort of fodder. But you can see there is a huge variance in terms of the number of big chances created and the big chances conceded, 30. So this shows me that we are defensively awesome and that we are very, very good at creating big chances. Look at Manchester City. They've created big chances, 44 of those this season compared to 43 of Arsenal's. It doesn't feel like that, but the stats don't lie, right, Ad?
Yeah, I mean, it does tell a tale. I think we've started creating chances in the last few games, and we've created a lot of them. I said after the Everton game, it was a much better victory than it was getting credit for. People were frustrated by that, but I didn't see that game live. I got up early the next day, watched it, did a show on it, and I was extremely calm. And I looked at 5 chances that we could have scored from. We hit the post twice in that game. Then we go to Palace, or play Palace in the Cup. We absolutely played them off the park. Chance after chance after chance, not taken. Same in this game. First half, we were so dominant. If you look before the goal, we had 3 chances. We had Saka absolutely roasting his man down the line, getting in, and he should have done much better with his shot. These chances are being created, but I feel like we've created a lot recently, whereas City have maybe been a bit more consistent in their chance creation. But if you look at City and look at some of the big wins, they stand out. There's also a lot of games that City have just about got through. And the Forest game, there's a huge amount of controversy there. That goal should have been disallowed. They should have had a player sent off. And they get through with a very late goal. This is a tricky time of year to get through, but we are creating chances. And the fact that we're creating them as all our attackers are coming back, and interestingly, as Martin Ødegaard has just come back as well, I think it's something that's being overlooked. Ødegaard frustrates people, but he creates chances and he makes us more fluid as a team.
Just on Ødegaard, 433 says Ødegaard looking so much better. There is a slide dedicated to the skipper shortly. But just on this, I mean, the big chances created is a pleasant surprise to me because it doesn't feel like that sometimes Ed, when we're watching the games. Maybe it's because we're in the moment, we're nervous, we're not maybe concentrating on the finer details until the game is gone and the final whistle is blown, and then you sort of have that relief and you don't really think about it too much. When I look at Manchester City's big chances conceded, more than double. And so I guess this is my opium. This is my sort of reinforcement of my belief to say, actually, if we average this out again in the second half of the season, mate, we're looking good. What's all the fuss about?
Yeah, and remember, a lot of these big chances have come without Gabriel. So there are moments in games that you know that Gabriel hoofs the ball the length of the pitch. He gets his head to it early. There's a big loss without Gabriel in the sense that he knocks an attacker back 5 yards. They might come away with the ball, but he still gained 5 yards on them. I think with Nkapie, he maybe stands still, but he does get pushed further backwards. All these things matter, and Gabriel's been a big loss. But I do wonder, as you were talking there, I was thinking how many of our chances created are from set pieces. And maybe that's where the difference feels with us compared to City. But there's a lot of goals coming across the league from corners at the minute. There's a lot coming from throw-ins, free kicks. But yeah, I do agree. I think the fact that we're not conceding chances, that's massive. That's a huge difference. And we've conceded goals recently. So the fact that there's still that big of a difference between us, and it's only 13 given the defensive injuries we've got, with Gabriel coming back, I mean, that's something to be positive about.
It is, as is this. Mike says Manchester City have won 6 in a row, Villa 7, Villa 11 in all competitions, and we're still top of the league despite sort of not firing on all cylinders, as so many people have been saying. And talking of that, let's talk about Viktor Gyökeres. He's getting some stick, Adam, from even Arsenal fans. You know, he's not the real deal. We've bought, someone who's just not designed to play for Arsenal, good enough to play for Arsenal, good enough to lead us to a league title. Now, the goals haven't been prolific. Let's say he has a handful of goals, a number of penalties. What have you made of his first, I guess, half of the season? I know we're just one shy of the halfway stage, but what do you think of the player? What do you think of his influence on the team, and what impact can he make in the second half?
It's a really tough one to answer. I was impressed with him up to the injury. I think since he's come back, he's been very, very mixed. The Everton game, he was decent in that game. In this one, there are so many things that stand out that I was really, really frustrated with. I didn't want to make him the focus of my show this morning. I ended up talking about him more than I intended to. How static his movement is in the box. Some of the running's very basic, and the two chances that stand out are the Saka cross in the first half that plays it with his right foot. Gyökeres doesn't move. He runs in a straight line. His movement's absolutely perfect until he gets to the edge of the box. That's where he then needs to either go diagonal and zigzag or just run straight towards the penalty spot and give the defender something to think about. And then the other one, he's not even on the pitch. It's Martinelli in exactly the same position. Martinelli's run begins exactly the same as Gyökeres, running straight, keep it at a kind of half pace. Then Martinelli gets towards the box, kind of dummies to go left and goes diagonal straight across. He puts the ball over the bar. Interestingly, Havertz scored a very similar goal to this a couple of years ago against Brighton, where Jorginho played it in, and he goes out and then he comes back inside between the two centre-backs and pops it into the back of the net. It's this kind of movement that I'm looking for. It's so basic as a centre-forward. I think he definitely can be coached to do it, but there's a lot of unpredictability in his game, and there's other things that stand out as well, but there's a couple of good points that I noticed. The first one is kind of frustrating to talk about. It's the chance in the first minute. Lewis Dunk is favourite to win that ball. It's a brilliant ball in from Trossard. Gyökeres has no right to win that ball. He manages to get himself in front of Dunk, get goal side, and then the big criticism has been that he can't create separation. On this occasion, he does. He gets a good yard between the two of them. The ball falls to him, and it's just a really, really poor executed finish. And I think he tries to chip the keeper. That's the only thing I can guess given the technique. But he needs to put his laces through it, or he could have even taken a touch in that situation. The other one is where he hit the post. Again, he's second favourite for that ball, knocks the defender away. gets a good shot in, and there's power on it. So there were a couple of moments where I thought, yeah, that's good. That's why we bought you. There was a nice first touch inside the box as well that it was popped off just before he came off. And he did seem to grow into the game a bit, but it's just the static nature of his movement that is really concerning me right now. That said, I do see the value in what he's doing. I do think he's trying. I just wonder if that relentlessness that he showed early in the season, if he's able to sustain it over the kind of course of 60, 70 minutes at this level.
I think my views on Viktor Gyökeres are obviously going to be heavily biased. For those of you that have been watching me for some time will know that I've wanted this guy for well over a year now. And when we got him, I was like, this is it. We're going to now take off. So I have to sort of tread carefully here and say, look, I don't think he's been the impact that I thought he was going to be. I thought he'd have maybe a few more goals by now. I think that's fair to say. I think he was looking really good in that first half away at Burnley. His link-up play, really good. What he does off the ball and what he does leading from the front and occupying those defenders. And actually, without him, teams tend to press us a little bit higher. And you notice that he's not there, and that's been visible. I think he brings other players into play. I think he distracts and he can, attract defenders to move away from him to give our wide players a bit more space and time on the ball. Where he struggled, the Premier League is a ferociously intense, competitive sort of landscape. Much more competitive than what he would have experienced, certainly in the Championship and certainly in the Primera Division out in Portugal. So he hasn't got time to breathe, hasn't got time to take, his first touch isn't great. He's shown that in the first few games that he's played for Arsenal, but it's getting better. And I think the team are looking for him more. I noticed on Saturday, or certainly felt like it, that I think he had probably more touches of the ball, or it felt like he had more touches of the ball than I can sort of remember. And that's a good thing. I want Viktor Gyökeres being played onto the ball, running through onto the ball. I love what he does off it. The tussles with the defenders. You mentioned Dunk, and he was bouncing around the other guys, and he can handle himself. He can really look after himself that way, and I love that. And he has a presence. But I just feel the team need to look for him a bit more. You're right. I think that there is one clip going around on social media where he just makes a straight run and doesn't, go back post to come near or go near to go back. Like, he doesn't do that sort of drop off that so many successful strikers have done over the years. But I think it will come. And this could be naivety based on my sentimentalist sort of attachment to the player. But I really hope in the second half of the season, I think he's got a massive role to play. I think the goals will come. Arsenal released a finishing video, I think today or yesterday, where you see the players doing their sort of shooting drills and training. The guy does not miss a chance. Like, his ball striking is so clean and so hard and so venomous that, like, you just need to put the ball on a plate for him and he will deliver. So I'm confident that I think Viktor Gyökeres can turn it around. I think he's got a real big role to play. I think also Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus have obviously missed most of this season. So Victor's had it all to do himself. He's had to lead from the front without that sort of rest, no time to acclimatize. It's a very, very intense league, and we've seen how we sort of struggle with that. So with Kai coming back and with Gabriel Jesus now giving him 20 minutes, here and there, that's going to be good for Viktor. And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I do think that will have an impact. I also think Kai and him could work quite well together. My issue is more that we have got so many players now at the top end of the pitch. It's how do you get everyone linking up together? I see the comment here, Saka and Gyökeres don't have a relationship. I'm not sure I fully agree with that. I don't think that Gyökeres has a massive connection with anyone, not just Saka.
Agreed.
I think that's something we saw Ødegaard and him linking a bit more. I think Trossard's a very clever player that's found him a couple of times. That ball over the top that I mentioned, but there was also one against Everton where Trossard came in field, played a similar ball. Gyökeres took it in his chest and played it with his left foot across goal. So I think Trossard's maybe the one that's building the first connection with him. We need to see Eze getting more minutes and linking up with him. But I do think there's a bit of a disconnect between him and the team as a whole. Some players are a bit better at finding him, but he needs to also work with his teammates. It's not a question of you need to feed this player, because what does that really mean? You look at Haaland, sorry. Haaland is a ball magnet because if Bernardo, Shirky, Foden, any of those players get the ball, they know that Haaland's going to move. They're going to find space in the box and give them a target. That's what Gyökeres needs to do as well. He needs to start attacking balls. And you're right, he's absolutely got the quality. You mentioned ball striking. other than Forrest at the beginning of the season, there aren't many times I can remember where he's really smashed the ball with the intensity we know he can. So I do think there's bits in there. And I do think an open play goal would change a lot for him because he hasn't scored for so long from open play. I think Burnley was the last one, and even that came from a set piece. But he just needs to get the ball in the back of the net. It feels like he's carrying a lot of weight. He's playing with a very stiff mindset. Give him a goal, and I bet this player changes very, very fast. And as you said, Kai's coming back. Jesus is giving us something different. We've got variety. I think that will ease the pressure on him a bit. This guy definitely has quality. It might not be the level that some thought it was, and I definitely thought he would have had a bigger impact by now. But I think that injury is being overlooked because that was a massive kind of turning point for him. He was really in the rhythm at that point. Hopefully, this really intense run of games gets him back there very soon.
Yeah, look, I hope so too. We've got to support him. I hate the way some of the Arsenal fans have sort of turned on him and they're sort of making their thoughts vocal. This is not the time. We're top of, like I said, the Premier League, the Champions League group stage, and the semi-finals of the League Cup. And this guy has largely led us from the front for the majority of the season, and he's probably played through an intensity that he's probably never reached before. Graham, welcome to the show. Really appreciate that. And listen, Purple Patch has changed everything for strikers. 433 just said, look, watch that run that Dominic Calvert-Lewin made tonight, levels above. Look, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, a player that Arteta once liked, actually, to be fair. 6 games ago, everyone was like, when's he going to score? Absolutely useless. 5-6 goals later, his confidence is pumping through his veins. He is going to be going into every game thinking, I can score today. And that's just what Viktor needs. He just needs a couple of goals and a couple of back-to-back games, and I think it'll happen. Han of Arsenal is in the house. Welcome to the show. Big man says, personally, I think fans, the GOAT indeed, have got lost in being correct and forgot that he is an Arsenal player. The topic is exhaustive. Let's just support the club in its aim to winning the Premier League. Big up Adam as well. You're getting a lot of love, Ad. I've got to say.
From the main man as well.
He's honestly from the main man. And the beauty of the pencil. Good evening, Latte Firm. What a magnificent guest you have tonight. I'm glad to tune in. This will be more than an enjoyable stream. Delighted to the max. Right, let's turn our attention to a few more sort of positive thoughts. Let's move away from Viktor Gyökeres. I think we're both in agreement that the goals will come. Ridiculous Raya. What a save, Ad, yesterday. 78 minutes on the clock. 2-1. Big game. And I posted a clip from the Latte Firm Twitter account this morning of a compilation of saves that David Raya has made this season alone. And the category, if you or the show reel, if you want to call it that, is phenomenal. What a goalkeeper.
Yeah, I absolutely love him. Since we signed him, I was so bought in. He's one of those where, I'll be honest, probably the worst take on my Twitter, and the receipt is still there. When Ramsdale signed his new deal, I put a tweet out saying, everyone's going to be looking for the Ramsdale this season. Look at David Raya costing X amount, and Ramsdale's a far better keeper. Then we signed Raya, and I started watching back a lot of footage of him, and I was so bought in before he'd even played. And this is a guy that I love watching. His distribution, the way he collects balls with such calmness in the air from corners, crosses, you name it. He's in amongst loads of bodies and he just picks it out of the air with such ease. And he's got tempo setting ability as well, which I haven't seen from a keeper before. In the way a number 6 can play, David Raya knows when to speed things up and when to slow it down. And this save it was the moment that won us that game, because I think we could have lost that if that went in. I thought Minter was phenomenal when he came on. He really changed Lewis Skelly's afternoon, but that save, it's up there with the best that we'll see all season. And how many times, you mentioned that comp, I have watched it, but how many times do we see him make these big saves when he's not been called upon the whole game? So it's just that level of concentration to be switched on and be ready to do it whenever he's needed.
It's phenomenal. And, going back to your starting point, I didn't have the same faith in David Raya. I've got to hold my hands up. The evidence is out there, to be fair. But I loved Aaron Ramsdale. I had a very sort of weird sort of association or attachment to him as a fan. I sort of sit North Bank Lower, got to see him, really sort of fell in love with the boy. And when Raya came, it was like, what are we doing? Ramsdale was a perfectly adequate goalkeeper, and we're going to splash maybe £30 million. But boy, has this guy elevated the goalkeeping game. And to all the sort of traits that you talk about, he's obviously a fantastic shot stopper. Not quite, the goal filling sort of frame that you would expect to see from top goalkeepers, but what he does on the ball, the way that he almost dictates from the goalkeeping position, he can play that sweeper keeper role. Every time we get a corner, he's on the center circle, ready to mop up, ready to redistribute. His passing has been absolutely absurd this season. Left foot, right foot, long, short, deep, high, low, whatever you want to call it. And to hit to the basic bread and butter of being a goalkeeper, his shot stopping in key moments of so many games. I mean, that double save at Sunderland, where he made the save. I think it was from Bobby, and then he sort of got back up and clawed it away again. The save on yesterday at the weekend for the game against Brighton. I mean, in that moment, Minte's shot was insane. Like every time I watch that shot, I still watch replays and think, "Oh, it's going to go in," but the arm just comes out of nowhere. It was just brilliant. And most clean sheets since his arrival in the Premier League, and he's up there with some top goalkeepers in that top 5. Absolutely fantastic, and there's another reason why we've kind of gotten through yesterday's game and recent games. Absolutely brilliant. Jeffrey says, hello. Nice to see you again. It's nice to see you, my friend. RRM says, he's easily my favorite goalkeeper here, including Seaman and Lehman. Wow. Raya is the best goalkeeper in the world right now, says 433. Hand of Arsenal says, soon to be 3 times Golden Glove winner. Absolute phenom. Can't believe I was so wrong about this guy, but what a player. What a player. And 433 says he's not even just a good shot stopper. His distribution is fire. Manny says, I feel sorry for him lately. 1 chance created in the opposition's score. I mean, look, that's the price that we pay. We've been really unlucky with the sorts of goals that we've conceded. 1 or 2, every goal is stoppable, but 1 or 2 of them you think, my God, that ricochet, that deflection, that decision, whatever it was, we do seem a little bit unlucky, but what a player we have in David Raya. Let's move up the field, and let's talk about our defensive injuries, because at the moment, and many of you have asked in the chat, because Hand of Arsenal is in the house, Timber, not in the team yesterday, did play in the League Cup. I think it was load management, depending on who you follow and what you believe on socials, but Hand of Arsenal might want to confirm in the chat tonight. Timber apparently should be okay for Tuesday's game. Ricky Calafiori going in during the warm-up, and then Miles Lewis-Skelly, despite Ricky Calafiori being announced by the stadium announcer, Lewis-Skelly lined up at left back. But the positive with the Hearts, as you can see on screen, Gabriel Magalhaes coming back to play 20 minutes. He should hopefully be in the starting lineup on Tuesday. It just feels like, 1 in, 1 out. When's this going to end, Robbie? And we've obviously had to see Declan Rice play at right back on Saturday. What are your thoughts on the whole sort of defensive, Ministry of Defence, as I've called it in the past?
Yeah, I'm going to start with positivity. Seeing Gabriel back is just phenomenal. As I mentioned, some of the things that he brings, the ability to just drive us forward in every scenario, it's just a joy to have him back in the team. He's one of my favourite players. He's up there with my favourite ever defender to play for Arsenal, and I'm just so happy to have him back. I think it was such a big miss. Add in the set-piece threat, everything that he brings is massive. Timber, I'm hoping that it's load management, because we have got better at that this season. Despite all the injuries, we have had people sit out for a couple of games and not miss 3 months as a result of forcing them to play. And I think maybe last year, some of these players might have played the game. So I'm hoping, I'm going to be optimistic about that as well. Calafiori's a strange one, because Arteta said he got injured in a very strange way, which he didn't go into much more detail. And that's always concerning. And I think the fact Calafiori's been so good as well, that does worry me, because I thought Miles had a very good first half and he was brilliant against Palace. But there is something that Calafiori brings to this team that I just love watching. I think he can open a game up from any position, no matter how much pressure he's under. He can use both feet. So the quicker we can get him back, the better. But I'm hoping that it was a case of something happened and he was taken off for a precautionary reason. So let's wait and see what Arteta says. Mascara, again, hopefully soon. And Ben White, that's the one that's really annoyed me this season. It's not often I get annoyed at Mikel, but Ben White played 4 games on the bounce after a long time out. And we had Miles on the bench, but we played Timber at left back. So that one, I think, was avoidable. We've played him that extra game and it's cost us. But the others, I feel like we've managed their load very well. It was just Ben White, a sudden spike in intensity, and we do see injuries after that. So, yeah, that's veer on the side of positivity tonight.
Yeah, listen, I'm completely positive, and I absolutely want all of these guys back, and I think they're all phenomenal. I think it's just ridiculous, isn't it? That we're 18 games into a season and we've got Ben White injured, Timber sort of being looked after because of load, but he did play him in the League Cup, which is another sort of questionable thing. And then you've got Christian Mosquera, who obviously we brought, and he's injured as well. And all of a sudden, you're playing your record signing at right back, and he was outstanding. Declan Rice, I mean, absolutely wonderful performance. But it could have gone horribly wrong. And then on the left side, Ricky Calafiori, some rumours going around with some sort of food poisoning and how the pre-match warm-up didn't quite sort of suit him, and maybe there was a late change, whatever it is. Hopefully back on Tuesday. Timber was past fit to play versus Brighton, says Han of Arsenal, which is great. So that must mean completely just load management, get him ready for Tuesday, wrapping him up in cotton wool. So if Tuesday arrives, we could be looking at obviously Raya in goal, Timber right back, Saliba and Gabriel, the formidable duo, and then hopefully Ricky Calafiori, and that's our starting five, isn't it? I mean, that's great news for Arteta going into that game.
Yeah, put Zubi, Rice in front of them, Ødegaard back, Eze in there, Saka, Gyökeres, Havertz back. Yeah, we're getting excited.
Look at his face.
It's time to explode. Look at the chances we're creating. Look at what we're doing. Look at how fluid we look. It's just about putting the ball into the back of the net. Players are coming back. And chatting to you, I'm getting the positivity back. I had a few fears from the comments that I've had today. But now, chatting to you, I've got full positivity back. We're going to go and blow someone away very soon.
I can't wait for it. And I guess, talking about the hard work sort of theme of tonight's show, not having Gabriel, obviously is our warrior, colossal defender, monster. Great. Love that. But he's so important in our build-up play as well down that left-hand side. We tend to be a little bit higher with him up on the pitch. His ball distribution is so strong. He reads the game so well. It really gets us going from the back. So him coming back is going to be fantastic. You mentioned Ødegaard and Eze. Let's talk about these two. Eberechi Eze obviously joined the club, 68 odd million pounds. We all remember the bomber that was live on Latte for one of the best moments, one of my favorite highlights of I've ever experienced since starting this channel. But he's not really come in and pulled up trees. Obviously a wonderful North London derby. But what's the answer here, Ad? Is it, Eze or Ødegaard or both? I mean, the skipper obviously getting his goal yesterday his first goal of the season will do him the world of good. Or is Mikel Arteta looking at Eze for the second half of the season? I mean, what's your thoughts on A, his impact, and B, how should we be deploying these two? I mean, you mentioned, in your breath there that Eze and Ødegaard would be in your lineup against Villa.
Yeah, I would love to see the two of them play together. We saw them very early on. They come on together. Can't remember the game, possibly Liverpool, but I'm not sure exactly. But yeah, I think the two of them are so technically, they're so good, so creative that they can function together perfectly fine on the pitch and give Eze the room to come inside. But at the same time, there's Leandro Trossard, who this season has been phenomenal. Even yesterday, he was one of our best players in the first half. He's so clever, he's so tenacious, and he just does things that impact the game in the right areas of the pitch. So I think Eze is in a position where he has to win his place back, but there's also load management with him. He's getting used to playing 3 times a week for the first time in his career. He's playing a much more press-heavy system than he's ever had to do. He's no longer the star man where everything's geared towards his creativity. So he has to get his stamp on the game. But it's worth noting as well, the Palace game, he scored the only goal in that game in the league. That one is 3 points. Port Vale, he scored the opening goal. We win that game 2-0. We're now in the semi-final. He's got assists in big games. He's scored. He has produced in the Champions League as well. You look at the Bayern game, he was phenomenal straight after Spurs. So I think it's just incredible to have the two of them on the pitch. And I'm seeing Hand of Arsenal's comment as I'm trying to talk and getting very excited at the possibility of Kai Havertz coming into the mix as well. So, yeah, I think these two can play together with ease. I also want to see Madueke get more minutes as well. So his usage has been a bit strange, but we're in a position now where Arteta's got a selection headache because he's got so many attackers available. Up until now, the team's kind of picked itself in the way that the defense is currently doing. once we get fully firing, the team will present itself. And I fully believe that Eze will really step up and absolutely start smashing it in the second half of the season. Because he's been good so far. He just hasn't been outstanding.
He hasn't, not yet, but there's plenty of time for him to execute, and on a number of different fronts as well. And obviously, there's no doubting he is a top player. And by the way, just back to hand of Arsenal, could Kai be back? I mean, listen, bro, just tell us. Just put us out of our... Don't seduce us like this. A shout out to Mohammed in Palestine, who's been a long supporter and viewer of the channel. Pray for our people in Gaza living in the camps in this severe weather. Please big up my friend FK. I've seen some of the footage on the news, and my heart goes out to all of you trying to sort of deal with this weather at the moment. Best wishes to you and your family, Mohammed, and thank you so much for making the time to tune in and to join us. I hope you are well, my man. I mean, just on this, I think there is a way that we play them both. I think they're going to be in-game scenarios where you need to play them both. There's been a lot of talk about, who do we start maybe on Tuesday? Is it Eze on that left-hand side? I think it depends on the combinations. If you've got Gabriel Jesus through the middle, I quite like the look of Jesus and Martinelli. They link up really well. If it's Gyökeres, maybe go with Trossard, because Trossard looks to find Gyökeres quite often. I think probably more than anybody else in the team. But it's going to be really interesting to see how this unfolds. And talking of unfolding, let's sort of wrap up the show and talk about, I guess, the title race and look ahead to Tuesday's game. But just wanted to get your thoughts, Ed, because you've not been on the channel for a while. Rival watch. City are snapping at our heels. They are on an incredible run. City fans describing themselves as complete and as on form. And Erling Haaland breaking records. Phil Foden in the form of his life. I mean, they are going strong. Yet they are behind us in the league table. Liverpool have fallen away. Some serious injury problems, obviously, with Alex Isak. I think broke his leg. And Arne Slot, I don't think they're going to maybe even make top 4 this year. Chelsea, their title challenge lasted all of a week. They are now, 10 points behind the league leaders? And then, of course, Unai Emery's Aston Villa.
I think it might be more,
Is it more? Wow.
With Chelsea.
So what have you made of it all? I mean, what do you make of City? I guess is it the question for City here is the team that finishes above City going to be the new Premier League champions?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. One thing, so I've been watching a lot of City recently, and one thing to note about them is they're not rotating. They've got a very, very set team at the minute. Rodri's still to come back. Kovacic is out. But aside from that, the team they're picking is the team that you would say is their first choice team, which is very unlike Pep. They also played in the Club World Cup, and if you look at their numbers, they're running the furthest and they're running some of the most intense sprints in the league. So in terms of numbers, Haaland's numbers are right up at the top of the running figures as well. And City aren't rotating. They're playing 8 of the same players in every game, and a lot of the players have played every game for the last 2 or 3 months. So there's a lot of football, and it's how long they can maintain that. And even against Forest, we saw that they struggled to get over the line. It was a very late goal, but it was still a win. So they are winning games. They've got match winners. They've got players that can grab the game. We know Phil Foden can go missing for a long period, get the ball, zone 14, get his head up, it's in the top corner. Same with Haaland. He works very hard. He runs, he creates, and he does really put a shift in every time he steps on the pitch. But he cannot touch the ball and pop up with a goal. And I think the potential of Semenyo going there, that's another player that can break a game open with both feet. So I think it depends who they sign in January, but I do think that they will add at least Semenyo. Hopefully he ends up at Arsenal, but I just don't see it at this point. Villa are optimizing their team for moments. You look at the first half against Chelsea, they had no shots. Chelsea had 11. Villa finished the game 2-1. 2 moments. Chelsea finished the game with significantly more shots than didn't put the ball in the back of the net. And that's the same thing we see time and time again with Villa. Morgan Rogers pops up with putting it in the top bin. Ollie Watkins scores. Someone's getting a goal against us. It could have gone either way. Buendia gets a lucky break, puts it in the top corner. Chelsea, I had a check. They're 13 points behind us now, so they're long gone. Liverpool, I think, are out of it as well. They really struggled after they went 2-0 up against Wolves. So they're a team, I think, you mentioned injuries. They've had some very unlucky ones, but they also spent 450 million in the summer, and I have zero sympathy for them. So I think it's
Drag
us,
them, Adam. Drag
Villa,
them.
and
Cook them.
City in this. Absolutely. The amount of nonsense we've had to listen to from Liverpool fans, I'm absolutely enjoying what they're going through right now. Chelsea had that big 1-1 win against Arsenal, and it's all fallen apart after that. So, yeah, that's. I think it's looking at Villa and City, and I think this is why we need to beat Villa. We have dropped points at Sunderland when they were close to us on the table, dropped points to Villa, City, Liverpool. We need to beat someone near us. We need to create that gap between us and the teams chasing us. And it's also a big statement win that massively increases confidence as well.
It really does. Look, we'll be back tomorrow with a late night lounge, which we normally do on a Friday. But obviously, I've been away for a long time, so we'll take a closer look at Arsenal and take a closer look at the Villa game. But I do want to get your thoughts on the Villa game. If we think about where the Premier League table is at, Arsenal are obviously top, 18 games played, 42 points on the board. Manchester City obviously sandwiched in between us and Unai Emery's Aston Villa. Maybe that's why he's smiling in that picture there. Villa are just 3 points behind us. If they beat us, they will go level on points. If they beat us comprehensively by more than 12 goals, then they will go above us, but that's obviously not going to happen. Also, what's interesting is that in the last couple of weekends, Manchester City have played first, and it's been left on Arsenal to respond. You know, City played West Ham, we had to win at Everton. City played again this weekend at Forest, and we had to go and do the business against Brighton. We have an opportunity to play first, albeit against Villa on Tuesday night, and then City go away to Sunderland, which is going to be a tough game. So, what are your thoughts on this fixture? I mean, is it? I drove up to Watford just earlier just to go and pick up our hamster. Long story, and on the way back, I was listening to TalkSport, and they're describing it as the title decider for both teams. If Arsenal can win, then it cements our position as favourites going into the new year, top of the league. If Villa win, then obviously doubts about Arsenal, and it cements Villa's role in this title race. What are your thoughts?
I think if Villa were to beat us, I think that it definitely does show that they are very serious here. They've won a lot of games on the bounce and a lot of games by very small margins where they have been significantly outperformed on XG, and those players have stepped up and delivered in moments. And we're doing the opposite. We're creating a lot of chances and not taking them. But this is a game that I think we just need to go and win. I don't care if it's a scrappy 1-0 win. I just want 3 points on to the next one, because I think it's a case of you just have to win them. And Matty Cash is suspended, Kamara is suspended. They were two players that were fantastic in the game at Villa Park. So if we can go and really lay one on them, I don't see why we wouldn't beat them. The Villa Park game could have gone either way. Both sides were end to end at the end. And it ultimately was Villa that grabbed their moment. If Nketiah hoofs that ball the length of the park instead of trying to control it, that game finishes 1-1, and Villa's winning run doesn't look quite as impressive. They got a huge boost from that. So these moments matter. It's knife edge stuff, and we need to just go and win this game. We've got better players, we've got the better team, we've got the better manager. It's about going and getting the 3 points, but we have struggled against them in recent years, and it's been really frustrating watching this fixture.
It has indeed. We've actually lost 3 of our last 5 games against Aston Villa in the Premier League. If Villa win, then this could be the first time that they've completed a league double since last season, actually. So very, very interesting. But Unai Emery, they are unbeaten in their last 2 away games. Obviously, at the Emirates, they're winning now 11, I think, on the spin in all competitions. I think they're on. I think they've for their last 18 games, they've won 16.
Yeah,
It's absurd.
it is, and it's those moments.
They had, right? I think it was Newcastle goalless draw. They lost to Palace at home 3-0. 1 or 2 other games where I remember the stories about they couldn't buy a goal, they couldn't score a goal, and then suddenly they've just exploded. 16 wins out of 18. That's insane form.
Yeah, and Unai Emery's very good at platform attackers. If you look at Aubameyang, whenever he played under Emery, he was phenomenal. Lacazette had his best season under Emery. He is very good at optimizing those players, and he's doing that with Rodgers. He's getting Watkins to play in a way that really helps their attack. Buendia's giving them a threat off the bench. Daniel Malin as well. He's got players that are good attackers, but I think it's time that we go and beat them. Someone has to put them in their place. Whenever you go on a big winning run, there's always the next game is always one that you feel, can we keep doing it? In this case, I hope they can't, and our chances finally come home and we really go and smash someone. And I do think, given what Hand of Arsenal said about Timber, that's a huge boost having him back, especially if he's had a few days rest.
Indeed. Yeah, but this is exactly the point. We've got a proper back four this time. If our back four is what we've talked about earlier, it's going to be phenomenal. It's a massive game on Tuesday. We will look ahead to that in detail tomorrow night with the boys, Jembele and Wayne. We'll also do some 2025 awards, best player, best moment, poorest player, worst moment, all that sort of jazz. So join us for that. Link and details will be in later. I do want to come back to a comment here from Ron, who says, FK, just listening back to your Gyökeres chat, and my God, you were talking rubbish. Wouldn't be the first time, though, would it? Just say it how it is. He's played 20 games. He's not good enough at this level, and it's okay to say that. I think if you listened carefully, I did say I was disappointed with the goal return. However, there are many positives to his game, and I really fancy him in more ways than one. Let's just leave it there. Right, we are going to leave it there. It's been a great show. Adam, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. Arsenal Therapy is your podcast. Shows on there. Do check it out. They are linked in the description. Adam, thank you. If anybody wants to follow Adam, he's available at AdamKeys_. Ad, just give us a prediction for Tuesday before you leave us. I know you're confident. You're buoyed up now. Good XG. Right. Defenders back in the game. Villa have to lose at some point. What do you reckon?
Let's go 4-1 Arsenal. Let's go. These chances are going to come home, and Unai Emery is the perfect person to unleash them upon.
4-1. Oh, I don't know about that.
I'm definitely not that confident, but I'm just going to go for it tonight.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you are tuning in for the first time and you've enjoyed the content, please do subscribe to the channel and set your notifications. We'll be back tomorrow with a late night lounge, and more content to come. We're back. It's so good to be back. Take care. Bye for now.